Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more polynomial division with a few little extra features that you'll need to worry about. One of them is, what if your binomial has a coefficient for the x term, which I'm pointing at right here. And then finally, another feature is, what do you do if you're missing one of for example here, the x squared term here. It's quite a simple fix, and for missing the x squared term, and the coefficient's not difficult to deal with either. So I'll just go through quickly what should be done. So you write 2x plus 1 is the divisor, sorry, the dividend. The divisor, that is the divisor. And we've got 6x to the third plus 0x squared. And get a little closer there. This is a plus 1. And let's see here, minus x plus 8. So notice this here in red, that must be added to the polynomial. And now we ask ourselves, what do I multiply 6x to the third by in order to get this to equal it? I'm going to multiply it by a 3x squared. It's 3 times 2 is 6, and x squared times x is 6x to the third, which I'll write over here. 6x to the third times 2x is, 3x squared is actually equal to 6x to the third. Okay. So I'll write 6x to the third, then I'll multiply it by the positive 1 as well, plus 3x squared. Subtracting, I get minus 3x squared, and I drop the x term. Okay. Now, in order to get a negative 3x here, and I'm starting with a 2x, I need a negative 3x squared, and I'm starting with a 2x. I'm going to multiply it by a negative x, but what number do I multiply 2 by in order to get 3? I need 1 more, 1.5 to 1.5, which I guess I could write as 3 halves. Okay, I'll write 3 halves there. Because as you notice, I'll write this over here, a negative 3 halves x times 2x is equal to a negative, and then the negative 3 and the positive become a negative 6, and then the x's become an x squared, and it's divided by 2. But notice a negative 6 divided by 2 is a negative 3x squared. Oops, I'm sorry, it happened over here. So let me go over that again. A negative this times that is this, which reduces down to a negative 3x squared. Okay, and so multiplying that times that I just showed you is a negative 3x squared. This times the 1 is a negative 3 halves x. These cancel. Now I've got a negative x minus 3 halves x minus a negative 3 halves x. Okay, now for this, I'm going to need a common denominator here of 2. So I'll write this as a negative 2 over 2 x, because the coefficient here is 1. So negative 2 over 2x. These two negatives combine for a positive, and that becomes 3 halves x, for a total of a negative 2 over 2x plus 3 over 2x, for a total of 1 half x. Okay, 1 half x. And so I'll write over here the 1 half x. And finally I drop the 8. Remember, I dropped up here as well. Now I ask myself, what do I multiply 2x by in order to get a 1 half x? It looks to be like I could multiply it by 2 times 1/4. Yes, 2x times 1/4. Notice is 2x over 4, which reduces to a 1 half x. Right there. And so 2x times 1/4. So I multiply it by a positive 1/4. 1/4 times 2x we just discovered was 1 half x. And that's what we want, because we want these to cancel. Then I got 1/4 times 1 is plus 1/4. Those cancel. Now I gotta add these, or actually subtract. 8 minus 1/4 would be 7 3/4. And that is our situation there, which I'll change this to an improper fraction, because I don't like mixed numbers. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 3 is 29, 30, 31/4. This again is the remainder. This was the dividend, divisor, dividend, divisor, quotient, so the result is can be presented like this: 6x to the third minus x plus 8 divided by, or the dividend divided by the divisor, 2x plus 1, is equal to the quotient. The quotient is 3x squared minus 3 halves x plus 1/4. And so the dividend divided by the divisor is equal to the quotient plus, you always put a plus here, the remainder, which is 31/4, divided by the divisor, which is 2x plus 1. And on the last video I made a small error. The 5 should have been negative, which I'll bring to here. Notice this 5 here should have been negative. in which case I would put that there and there. Okay, so that's all about polynomial division. Thanks.